Hi, welcome to Plane Talk with myself, Dave Hall, and my cohort here, Rob Schneider. And today we are welcoming a good friend of the company, one of our early collectors, Paul Davies. Paul Davies, welcome to our what we call our podcast here at PlaneTags.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Hey, so Paul, when I created and started PlaneTags, I never in my wildest dreams thought it was going to go in the direction that it did. It was something I was doing while I was making this really functional art out of the airplanes with my old partner. And PlaneTags was kind of like a side business that I started in a sense, and it took off and had a life of its own. But more importantly, I think what I didn't realize was the community that we were creating with the Plane Tag series and the collections. And you approached me very early on and asked to start a fan club on Facebook, and that took me a little bit by surprise. And Rob was one of the moderators as well as you. And from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you enough for your passion and your love for Plane Tags and what we're doing here. So it gives me great honor to welcome you to our podcast and thank you for participating in this fun journey that we started.
Yeah, well, the honor's mine, no doubt. And I think if you were surprised about this taking off, I think all of the collectors were equally surprised about the community because it all started just collecting, and we had no idea that there were so many of us out there. And I think you actually reached out to me. And
Did I? No,
yeah,
how? I'm not sure who emailed who
it's
first.
been so long.
Let's hash this out because a lot of the rumors out there is Paul Davies got the #1 Titan tag on accident, and that's how the conversation started. So how did we introduce ourselves, boys?
That's hilarious.
I would have swore you would have emailed me and talked, because I'm not even on Facebook. I jumped off of Facebook a long time ago, and you had to talk about the collection fan club first before anything. So that's how I remember it.
Well, I'll set the record straight, like officially, especially about the Titan tag. Good grief. But,
okay.
No, what happened was you had just started the rack displays, the fuselage displays. And I have no idea why you picked me. Oh, I don't know. But you emailed me. You're like, hey, I've got this new product. What do you think? And of course, I'm flabbergasted to see this email, this picture of this rack. I'm like, what an ingenious idea. We talked back and forth about that. And then I said, what's crazy is I actually started this Facebook group of these collectors, and it's absolutely taken off. And we had no idea. And so that's how MotoArt kind of started getting involved in it, the Plane Tag employees, the community. And then it really took off. And we had no idea that there was such a camaraderie, such a collection of like-minded tag addicts. So much of what the industry is now really started in that group. It's so much, and it's been absolutely crazy to witness.
That's great. And I think what's kind of cool is I see the friendships that are created and the bonds that have happened.
Yeah.
I mean, just take Rob, you and Nick and Paul. I mean, you guys didn't even know each other before Plane Tags, right?
Right. Nope. Yeah. And that was what was crazy is I literally just started it. I'll tell the full story, I guess, but I started it because I tried to post a picture of my Plane Tags in a different group, and the post got denied. And I was kind of upset about that. I'm like, that's ridiculous. I was going to start my own group so where we can just share our own stuff and not have to worry about any of that stuff. And it just kind of took off. And then, man, it couldn't have been a week. I don't even know if it was a couple of days. Rob reached out to me. He messaged me. He's like, hey, man, like, I love Plane Tags, and I would love to be a moderator. I'm like, sure, whatever. It's just a few people, no big deal. And man, I had no idea that lifelong friendships, and truly like the best friendships, have started from this group. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then Rob, of course, came in and showed me everything I was doing wrong.
That's part of it.
It was a culmination of Paul and myself and Nick, but
yeah, it's so funny when I first started coming out of these Plane Tags again. We were making conference tables for Boeing and all the aerospace companies, and we had 25 employees, sanding and polishing and cutting and welding and crating. And we were doing $250,000 a month just about in MotoArt. So when I came out with this plane tag thing, and in fact, I had an old accountant that worked for me, and she thought it was a pipe dream. And she said, why don't you focus on the real business? And even my old partner poo-pooed it. And now, I look at you guys, and Rob, you and Nick are traveling around the world together.
Yeah, I mean, Nick and I have been to Europe multiple times together, and we've ran into Paul and Amy in the airport traveling. So, I mean, it's wild.
Oh, it's great. Well, we have Tag Fest coming up October 10th, and we have a great lineup. We got, of course, Captain Bob Pearson from the Gimli Glider, who's going to be here. And then we just signed up Dr. Perry Roth. And Dr. Perry will be here representing the California Science Center with a brand new exhibit opening up for Endeavor. And Paul, I haven't shared this with you, but my son Brandon and I got a sneak peek at the new Endeavor exhibit. It was literally emotional.
I'm sure.
It was that spectacular. When Brandon and I walked in there, we had to sign a 4-page NDA. They have since released all this on the press. We're free to talk about it, but we had to sign this 4-page NDA. We weren't allowed to take pictures. We had to have a hard hat, and they walked us in. And what was really cool, Paul, is the guy's like, okay, look at my eyes. Look at my eyes. Don't take your eyes off my eyes. Don't turn around. Don't turn around. So Brandon and I are like kind of like walking into the exhibit like this. And all of a sudden he goes, okay, turn around. And we spun around and boom, here was Endeavor right in front of us. And it was like so freaking cool. And there was no one there. It was empty. I was telling Brandon, we'll never ever see it again like this,
No, nobody in there.
Yeah. So anyhow, lots of fun. Dr. Perry will be here talking about all the new exhibits at the Science Center. And again, October 10th. And we look forward to having everyone this year. Dr. Perry will be here. I'm sure we could all sit there and say, hey, what are you doing this afternoon?
That's right. I thought about it, like, so how many strings can we pull to get, 250 people over there?
So we had a couple questions for you, Paul, to kind of get your backstory. So what was your very first plane tag? Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember it. I actually pulled it out because I had a feeling this question was coming, but
oh boy.
It's my Albatross. And
oh my God, look how beat up looking that one is.
And that's exactly why I bought it, because I was like, I don't really even know what an Albatross is, but that is an amazing tag. And it was at Planeware at SeaTac.
Oh, and, yeah. That's a great store.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best store. That's so many of us started at that store because of it. And that was it. I'm actually really mad at myself. I didn't know any different, but the card is bent because I just shoved it in my backpack. I didn't know. So, oh my gosh, but that's what started it. And at the time I had no idea that it was going to become what it's become.
Planeware has been very good to us. Also, the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum there in DC, another very big dealer for us. And I think that's what's exciting, that we see a lot of our new collectors coming from, is just like what you did. No matter how much advertising we do on Meta, it's people who stumble across the product in the museums or in the stores and say, what is this? And then get pulled into the community that we've all kind of created. So
yeah, not to jump around here, but that takes us to another good point, is with Boeing recently, our big contract that we signed with Boeing. Their acquisition manager, if you will, she approached me at Oshkosh. We just had Oshkosh, the world's largest air show, a couple weeks ago in Wisconsin. And when I went out there to set up our new plane tags display with Boeing, she approached me and she said, I saw your guys' display at the Smithsonian. And that's when I realized, like, oh, I need this in the Boeing store. And that's what initiated the conversation with Boeing and plane tags, to bring plane tags to Boeing.
That's crazy.
So having that reach is amazing.
Yeah, right. And I want to talk more about Oshkosh and Boeing. But, just to add, since we're talking about the Smithsonian, they're big fans of what we're doing. They're advocates of it because it's educational. And, it's great to have that type of caliber museums being behind the product, which gives us a lot of faith and belief in what we're doing as well, that we're doing something good for humanity, preserving the memory of these incredible airplanes. I would love to hear more about Oshkosh, Paul. I didn't make it to Oshkosh this year. Did you go, Paul?
No, I didn't make it. I've got to get there. Jeez.
Paul, he's always too busy. He never comes.
Have you ever been to Oshkosh?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
He's too busy making these beautiful displays back here.
Oh, yeah, and I want to talk about the displays, but let's go down the path of Oshkosh because they broke records this year. We as a company did not exhibit because, for those who didn't know, we partnered with Boeing this year, which is an exciting new relationship that we have. And the Boeing stores wanted to debut PlaneTags, and we thought it was a perfect opportunity for us to take a step back and let Boeing see the PlaneTag experience. Mm-hmm. And so with us doing that, we sent them a beautiful display, and Rob was kind enough to be there to help them get the display set up and get the new Boeing series collection set up with the new 787 PlaneTag that they debuted. And I heard it was quite the hit. I mean, Rob, tell us about it.
Yeah, it was amazing. 734,000 people over the course of the week is what I heard for numbers. I got in on Saturday before the show started and went out to Boeing on Sunday and helped them set up display. You know, it was funny. I walked in the Boeing store on Sunday and they're kind of setting up the store, and this poor girl sitting on the floor with all the tags and the boxes and everything, just looking at it. And she's just staring. She had no idea what to do. I could tell she was lost immediately. So I had Landon Kane with me at the time, and we kind of sat down with her and we're like, hey, this is your product. I work for PlaneTags. I will help you kind of get it set up and get you guys rolling and get you in the right direction. And she started asking good questions about how we set up our displays for air shows and things like that. So myself and Landon got her set up initially and kind of got her the good layout that she needed. And they, like you said, they debuted the 787, which was serial number 4, was a test one. They also debuted a 777, a 747, and a 737. And then they had some other Boeing PlaneTags that we've done in the past, which was pretty cool. Man, it was crazy. I would go in that store at least 4 or 5 times a day to kind of check on them, make sure they were good. And every time I walked in that store throughout the week, it was packed. I will say Saturday was probably the busiest day. I walked in the doors at Boeing store. I talked to Amy, and she said that it was one of their best-selling products at least the first couple days. I figured over the course of the week it was pretty good. I went in on Sunday afternoon, which is kind of the end of the show, and I was just kind of looking to see what they had left. And I asked one of their workers there if they had any blue 787s left, because there was only like 2 hanging up on the rack. And she said she didn't know. She thought maybe there was a few more in the back, but there wasn't many. So, I mean, that tells me they did amazing selling those blue 787s and stuff.
Right.
But man, it was crazy to go in there and see the amount of people trying to buy PlaneTags, and then how many of those people are new customers? How many of those people have never seen our product? And Boeing at Oshkosh is premier because they're right in the middle of the show. Everybody goes into Boeing Square. It's amazing.
That's great. Well, I hope this opens up some new doors for us. They're holding on to some secret material they're just not releasing. Hey, so Paul, one of the opportunities, never a problem, is we're producing, over 250 PlaneTags now. And how do we display our PlaneTags? And I've worked on the fuselage racks.
Yeah.
And I've created aluminum binders. But I hear in the rumor mill that you came out with a new product and it's doing really well. And I thought that, since I'm not on social media, if you're ever going to pitch the big guy, it's right now. Tell me what you got and what you're selling and what we can't do to maybe work together.
If the product what's kind of funny is we've kind of gone full circle here. You reached out to Paul originally to talk to him about one of these rack displays, and now Paul is making his own displays.
That's crazy. This is it's the age old problem that started from the beginning of tags in general. It literally started as a keychain, right? That's what we all were like, yeah, heck yeah, keychains. And then I'm not sure if
luggage tag.
luggage tag, right, correct.
Every time I hear keychain, I'm like, oh,
No,
luggage
not
tag.
a keychain. Hey, I do use mine as a keychain, so it's all good.
All right, me too.
But I think that's what the initial vision was. Luggage tags, right? I don't know if you thought it would become a collectible, and I don't think any of us did. And so the problem is they're so addicting. Let's just be honest that we have so many of them, and so the problem rapidly became, what do we do with these? I mean, do we store them?
A lot of aviation history.
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. It's like, okay, that's these things. A lot of them are in bins and stored away. The airplanes themselves, and the whole concept is to get them back out in the open. And so then we buy these plane tags, and they come home, and what do? A lot of them sit in storage. The binders is a great idea, so that you can flip through and see them. But even then, it's still stored. It's not on display, and so that's where the fuselage racks came in. The beauty of the fuselage rack is you can display the tag and the card, and you can see the art that is half of the product and tells all the story on the back. And then that way they're not sitting in storage, and that's not what we want. And so it was pretty early on that the collectors turned on to this. Like, we need a way to show these off and become a talking piece, and to really display literally our personal museums. And that's what happened pretty early on. A couple different people tried to make displays, and it was very, very apparent when I have them in my house and people come into my house, it's the centerpiece of the house. And inevitably, awesome. People are like, "What is this? What?"
Right.
And they're all, and then they're hooked, and they find out about it, and they're like, "What an incredible idea! What an awesome opportunity to own this piece of history!"
Right. Mm-hmm. Exciting.
Yeah,
you're getting me excited. Like, I want to buy one. Oh,
yeah. Okay, sweet.
I get all kinds of people in my house too, and they walk in my office and see the racks on the wall behind me, and they're like, "What is this?" Like, and I explain to them what it is and what we do, and they're like, "That's amazing. That's so cool." The binders are cool, but they just kind of like sit on the bookshelf, kind of hidden, versus like the displays, people see them. It's no different than your number one tag wall in front of you, Dave. Like, you display your tags too.
We all want to do as collectors is we love these pieces of history, and we want to share that with people. And you can't do that when they're in a box. I've got a galley cart that I've converted into, because I've got to store them somewhere, and that's great that they're all right there and I can categorize and see them, but they're not on display, and it's much harder to share that with other people. And that's why I was like, look, we have got to get these displays going again. We've got to get it out there so that people can see these things and enjoy them daily, rather than just knowing that, yeah, I have them, that's great, but you have to enjoy them. You have to be able to use them. And that, it was the inspiration to get it going. And honestly, it was walking around Tag Fest last year. I was looking at almost every single vendor there, or every displayer there had some sort of a display. And I'm like, look, everybody that is the diehard collector wants to do this, and we have to do it. It has to be available. And so I started digging it back up and learning how to run a laser, learning how to run a CNC, and boy, has it been a learning curve. But it's been a fantastic opportunity for me. It's kind of tapped into my passion for making these products visible and potent, and have the impact on others that they have on me.
Well, can I see a couple?
Yeah, well, so we come down to the tags and the coasters, and so I'll get you probably my favorite one for now. This, I should really insure this display because I've got my most valuable tags in it. So this is a 6-slot. The 6-slot tag.
You got the Corsair in there, and the SR-71.
And the OG Mustang.
And the original
SR-71.
United.
Yeah. And so these are the rare ones. Now, the two Southwest ones, this is back before you could get mystery tags, and absolutely before you could pick a variant. And so these were next to impossible to find. And so these are my most prized tags, probably. And So this is
That's
what I
great.
want. This is what I want to, when people ask about plane tags, I pull this out and say, this is what it's all about. This is
That's
the most
awesome.
incredible airplanes in existence. P-51, Corsair. Who doesn't know about these?
Yeah.
And here I get to own a part of it. And people hold them like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. You can check out the website, finalapproachfabrication.com. We got it all listed there. And these are artifacts that need to be taken care of and displayed. And it's an investment also in the future of the history in aviation. And so it's worth investing in the opportunity to protect these and to display them.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty incredible. Well, I hope that we can get your website up on the screen for everyone to go and see your displays. And then you're going to bring some down to Tag Fest this year, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Can I show you a coaster one? Can I show you a tag one?
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
So I got this. I don't know when the podcast is going to go live, so I haven't announced this on the internet yet. But regardless, we just started. I just got the prototypes going the other day, and the coasters are incredible. And
Ooh.
we use our tags, but I also use the coasters.
Ooh.
So we have this so that you can display them, but you can also use them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because you're supposed to use the coasters.
Yeah, I use them all the time. I got them all over the house.
Do you?
So this is a fun one. So we call them a functional half display because it's functional, and it's not like these things are going to get damaged. They're taking the weather all day long, and so they can handle one every now and again. Coaster display.
Paul, I have to ask, how many plane tags do you own?
You want me to publicly put that out there?
Well, I think it's kind of exciting that
my wife is probably going to watch this podcast, right? I am probably close to 1,400 by now.
Yeah,
my God.
You probably have the two customers with the biggest plane tags collection right here.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's huge. Well, thank you. You got more than I got, Paul.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I just take the number one. You take all the color variants.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's why I have so many, because I have the hardest time deciding which tags to buy. And so very early on, I just said, forget it. I'm just going to buy them all, so I don't have to make that decision. And it was a terrible financial decision, but man, it's the greatest when you get the full set.
These are heirlooms. I mean, they're always going to be the P-51 or the Albatross. And I hope that you have great pride and pass these down to your kids as they get older and teaching them about aviation history and how much these aircraft meant to you, and that they can at that time pass it to their children, right? You fast forward a couple hundred years, and a lot of these planes are just no longer in existence other than in a few museums and then what you're holding in your palm of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that, thinking about things that I could share from my perspective. So I pulled my 909 tag out last night.
Nice.
And this was the tag that really, I guess, set the tone about how real this hobby, call it whatever, but you can collect these tags and the planes exist, but when you own this tag of a very, very famous airplane, and then when that airplane crashes and it's gone, but you still own a piece of it, that's when this becomes real. Mm-hmm. And you understand the purpose of how important this mission is to be able to own a piece of history that may not be around forever and likely won't. And so that was the one that was like, oh, this is important. And we need to be preserving these things because we don't know what can happen. That's fine that they're in museums, but how many times have we seen museums get hit by tornadoes and destroy the airplanes? And there's just a sacredness, honestly, about being able to be a part of preserving aviation history. And 909 was the one for me that opened up my eyes quickly about how important this is.
Yeah.
I was hoping that Chet could maybe talk to both of you guys a little bit about the laser etching process that we have at PlaneTags. Every time we introduce a new aircraft it's almost like it's a whole nother recipe, like you're making the cookies or something, right? Because it's the different burns. I mean, sometimes the paint will melt, and I mean, look, he will spend hours trying to perfect the look of one tag. And then once he has that recipe down, we're able to go forward and start burning our collection. So let's take a quick minute break, and I'm going to bring Chet back, and maybe we can even talk about the G1 that's coming up, and I'll see if he has some artwork done for us already.
Yeah. There you go, Dave. Look at that display he's got in his hand.
Wow. Why didn't we start with that?
Oh, I don't know.
That's amazing.
So cool.
Yeah, this one's cool.
Look at the displays that he's making.
They're so very cool.
I'm turning the microphone over to Chet, who does all of our laser etching, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to tell everyone no two tags are alike, and definitely no two aircraft are alike. And he experiences this every time we're about to launch. I hear it. We go back and forth. We debate. And he says, I'm putting too much pressure on him. And then yet, boom, he creates the perfect tag. So with no further ado, here's Chet.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I have to rebuttal some of those things right away.
Welcome to the show.
Right. We've gotten to the point now where he doesn't even ask what's going on until 10 minutes before release.
That's true.
And it's got to be done. Right.
Yeah.
Or else we're in trouble.
It's too late for questions now.
Yeah. So obviously we've gotten this down to a formula where, every time we have a release or a new product, we have to figure out how we're going to, take it a step back. How are we going to stamp it? I mean, some of them need to be water jet. Some of them have to be, turned certain ways, or different dyes, different techniques because of, how old the paint is, what kind of metal it is, how thick it is, how long it's been sitting out in the desert. Sometimes things have been out there 20, 30 years, or like the Zero. That thing was sitting in a swamp in the islands, in the South Pacific for 70 years.
Yeah.
So you get this corrosion problem, you get, all kinds of things that go on. And like you said, though, I have to agree, every single one is different, which kind of keeps it as an interesting job. You gotta problem solve. And, I mean, he did say that, we argue. No, he doesn't. I do.
Yeah. You push back.
Yeah. He's like, sometimes he's not even listening. He's like, okay. Or he's like, no, this is what we're going to do. And I'm like, that's going to be really hard, but that's what we're going to do. Right. So you got to go back to the drawing board and try and figure it out.
We haven't talked about it yet, but we got Reno coming up, and how are those coming along with the
that was interesting. I mean, it's a whole new ball of wax, and first we had to get the artwork done. That was interesting too. So we went out there with the measuring tape and measured it, and kind of guesstimated how many curves there are, and corrugated and whatnot. And I thought that worked out pretty well because the artwork that Jay came out with, I thought nailed it. Gave the right feel to what it actually is with the proportions and whatnot.
Agreed.
But that was interesting. I wasn't that involved with it. Christian, who does the stamping, came up and asked me a few questions, and I was too busy with too many other releases. And then when Dave got back into town, I'm like, "You cut up what?" The one thing about Dave is like a bull in a china shop. He's not delicate about it. Just go, So
get it done.
Just get it started, which is there's a certain advantage to that, but then to see what was coming out of it, it wasn't looking good.
Yeah.
The paint was just totally coming apart, and we tried tape and clear coating, and we were trying to think of what can help preserve the paint, because just bare metal doesn't really work. It doesn't sell. And Christian was the one that thought that we were going one way on the curves, and he cut the strip out the opposite way, so that when he was stamping, it was compressing the paint in the metal rather than expanding it. So obviously, when you expand it, it pulls it apart from the paint. And I thought that was just ingenious. It was like, it never crossed my mind. But it was great to have him come up. Usually he comes up front when he has a question, and usually when he has a question, it's a problem. And this time it came, he was beaming, and he's like, look what we got. And I'm like, well, what did you do? And he goes, I just switched it around and changed it. It's like, I just thought about it in my sleep, and I just came out. So that was kind of cool. So we're at least on somewhat of the right path to get some of the Reno stuff done and out of here.
Is stamping those is working out? We're not having to laser jet them?
Yes.
Or
So
water
far,
jet 'em?
so good. Yeah, we're not gonna have to send them out in water jet, and the water jet sometimes, blows the paint off too, because I mean that's really high pressure, and there's
Yeah.
any gap in the metal that it blow, like with the doors, with the midway doors, that was water jet, and
Yeah.
it blew a lot of the paint off, but we had to live with it. At least it was, most of it stayed there. So luckily they understand that this is an authentic piece of history.
Yeah.
So far,
Yeah.
so good.
So Paul, I don't think you're familiar yet either, but Reno approached Dave and wants to do some plane tags from the Reno pylons that they use in the race course. Reno is where MotoArt started. Dave went out there years and years ago selling MotoArt furniture in one of the booths out there at the air show, and that's basically where you got to start with MotoArt, Red Bull, etc. So since Reno has now moved to Roswell, they reached out to us and said, hey, we've got these pylons. Is there anything you can do with them? Dave being Dave, he can't say no to anything. He said, sure, bring them in and we'll see what we can do. And this is where we're at. So we have pylons from each of the courses. Yeah, so we should have pylons from those coming in. And the plan is to have a box set come out and kind of like remember Reno for what they've done for the community and what the air races have done for aviation and all that. So Chet and myself and Jay have been working pretty long on them to kind of figure out what we want to do with them. Jay came up with an awesome design for the tag, and Chet's been trying to work on engraving them and everything, and it sounds like that's going pretty good now. So we'll see how they look when they finish.
Yeah, Reno
Sounds good.
Reno just goes hand in hand with plane tags. I mean, you actually go through the list.
Mm-hmm.
There are probably more tags that have come from Reno. Maybe the only other exception would be Soplata, but as far as sourced from one common theme, it's Reno. We have so many of them.
Yeah, we've done air racers too. I know Chet's worked a lot of the racers. We did Dreadnought, we did the Vampire, we've done Argonaut. The Yak was one we just did last year. So we've done a lot of their aircraft, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize we had that many racers that were actually from doing races at Reno, which was, yeah, you're right. So, and it's a passing of the baton too, because they're moving away from Reno. And like you said, they've been there a long, long time. So I remember Dave went up there. I was there. I was with Dave back then when he went to Reno, and he was selling furniture. I think at the time he was selling propellers. Right, and a martini table, and if you want to call that furniture, then okay. It took them a while to get into the big stuff, right?
The bomb table,
small, get bomb table, right. Martini table, yeah. I think that's what they were pushing those things then. Something that could fit easily into the trunk of their car and drive out there or something. But it sounds good now, right? I mean, give it some time.
Hey, and look at it now. It
gets better.
Yeah.
The story gets better.
Yeah.
By the way, that was back in 2002. Was the first time we were there. So
Reno's pretty important to MotoArt and plane tags. I mean, we've done a couple shows with plane tags out there too. So
it was fun to be out there. I went on one show a couple years back, and when I started to go and see these things, it's pretty interesting. I'm still not an av geek though. I just work here, but I'm getting there. There's a lot of things I try to like. I don't need to know that. I got enough in my head, but it's exciting to do.
Well, let's pick your brain for a minute, Chet. What's the most difficult project that you've worked on? Would you say
the next one?
That's fair.
It's always the next one. This one was difficult in a different. Like I said, every job is different, so there's a different different problem. It's either with the laser etching or the stamping, or like on this one, the last release, that F4, I had a hard time sorting out variants. I had a hard time, how are we going to sell this? How are we going to promote it? Like sometimes, we'll when the guys are cutting out in the field, they keep it separate. Like here's the logo, right? We got the logo colors, or we got the numbers, or that thing, or a certain design feature. So we can call those out and make those separate variants as to sell from the piece of the plane. This one, at first, I saw it in the rough, in the panels, in the crates. I was like, I don't see a difference. I think we're just going to go one variant. We're just going to call it, skin, maybe.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of others that had some white on it. I said maybe that was from the inside of the scoop or something because of the curvature of the panels. But I didn't see it out. And I was like, we did that once before with the DC-3, the Tulsa. There was so many different colors and pieces and corrosions, and we just said, you get what you get, right? And we just had one variant. And the production people said, that's great. We love that, because we don't have to, chase down all the different variants. And to further attention on that is the variants change as we get more and more into the inventory that we cut, right? So that is a big problem. But as we were working on the F4 and starting to separate things and stamp it, there started to be variables. There's like, okay, this is different. We can make a group of these. We don't know what it's from, or we can't name it. Like for instance, one of them was the alligator skin, right? There was a whole bunch of them that were corroded in a certain way. I don't know if it's because it was sitting in the water or the sun was on it, but they were all you could separate them out and not have to label them. But then we thought, what do we call it, right? So we came up with alligator skin, like where we pulled that out of our ass, right? But it stuck, it stuck. It was there from the beginning just because we had nothing better to call it, right? Just for our own usage. And it just stuck with it and went all the way through to, selling it. And so, that was kind of cool. But there was then some other things started to come out too, like the white. We ended up, we didn't call it white, we called it light. Because they weren't all white, right? When you look into it, a certain number of them were, but not enough to be a variant. And then do what? Throw all the others away that weren't quite white or they were rough. It kind of worked out, but it was getting close to the last minute, right? And we have to start to build pages, and I have to etch some and give them to Jay so he can scan them and get them, input to make the artwork and whatnot. And it was coming down to the wire. So right to the last minute, we were dividing them up. And what started out as a single variant ended up as what, 5 or 6, right? That we ended up with.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that was an interesting journey too, because, you start there and then you start to, I spend a lot of time counting tags or going through them or whatever. And I think to myself, I got more things to do than counting these damn tags. Right. But what we sussed out of it was the different variants. Like for instance, what did I call it? I called it some color. Right. Those started to show themselves. I'm like, what are these? I don't get it. Right. And then I realized, they painted over the original red. Right. I went and looked at the old photos that they had online. Went, it was red before, red and white. And then they painted over it to make it all green. I don't know why, but then we started to see, okay, so when we started to etch those and take them apart a little bit, some of the color showed through. And then when we etched it, there was like multiple layers of paint. So you got these different colors coming out. You had you burn the green layer off, and then you got red underneath. And I'm like, oh, wow, that looks really super. Because, Ricardo, he was burning all the way through it to get to metal. And I'm like, whoa, cowboy, slow down, right? This looks really bitching like this, right? And so we kind of it made it more difficult because you had to do kind of one at a time rather than group them up, right? And they turned out to be very cool.
Yeah, some of those ones with the red letters came out awesome.
You're right.
Yeah. If we hadn't been paying attention and going through them one at a time, and running the process, we wouldn't have figured that out. We wouldn't have seen it. Or on another day, we would have just put it on the side and go, use these last. We'll figure it out later, because we got to roll right now. So, but so that was, that was an example of what we went through on this last one.
I was thinking those tags in particular are kind of like gobstoppers. You just keep peeling back the layer, you get different colors.
Yeah. No, exactly right. And add on top of that the corrosion and the aging, and the patterns from the weather and whatnot, and just being an old plane. Like how old is this plane? 1960, I think. So how many is that? 40, 56, 65 years? Almost as old as I am. Every one is a little different. This was an interesting one. The Chinook. That was an interesting thing, that we cut up the cargo floor, which has rubber padding on it. It's coated with rubber to hold on to the cargo so it doesn't slip and slide. They handed that to us, and we're like, oh my God, what are we going to do with this, right?
Yeah.
And it took us a lot of different experimenting and different kinds of burns and different machines and cleaning techniques and whatnot to come out with something. It's not like a perfect tag like we would like to project, but it's the best we could get, and it's what it is. It's a rubber coated cargo floor, right?
Those are awesome. I mean, you look at them, and the engraving and stuff that you did on them are pretty amazing, and then just the texture on them is amazing to be able to touch it and feel it. Like, I know the cargo floor I got, it kind of smelled like diesel fuel still. So, I mean, you can probably imagine like the fluids that have leaked into that floor and just sat there.
Yeah, and then we burn it and bring them all out, right? Yeah.
Chad, a couple
on fire back there.
You talk about that. I think the evolution of variants is interesting because it allows collectors to figure out more specifically exactly where something came from. So when you come out with a tag like cargo floor, well, you know exactly where that came from. And so then the creativity goes, man, how many troops walked on this? What mission, cargo? And it just opens up all these possibilities of what actually happened with this tag. And it's been interesting to see the evolution of variants. We started for years, it was just straight aluminum. You just punched the skin and that was all you're battling the paint, sure. But as time moved on and more opportunities opened up, now we're venturing into carbon fiber or solid steel or, and all of a sudden that opens up an entirely different, the concept at the beginning of having to water jet a tag, forget it. It was just the punch, right? And so it's interesting to see how you guys have evolved and opened up the horizon of what you can do and what you can offer.
What was your first non-aluminum tag, Chet? Was that the MLP?
I bet
no.
so.
Well, I think it's a full release, but I forget which one had titanium. We stamped it, and it was aluminum, but then these other ones that snuck in were a different metal, and I think it's titanium because the color of the etching was different. Right,
Titan,
like the aluminum. When you burn aluminum, it's white. It's a white laser, you see. But these ones were, what were they? Gold, right? There was a gold color. It was definitely a different color. So, and you could tell, you could bend it, right? I'm like, oh shoot, this isn't aluminum. You can't bend aluminum, right? So I forget which plane that was, but I think that was one of them where it wasn't actually aluminum. But the MLP obviously is solid iron. As a full release, that's probably the first one.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
and I know you had difficulties with the old Virgin Atlantic ones because they had that like clear coat over the pearlescent paint and stuff. And you had trouble burning that thick pearlescent paint.
Yes, there was a lot of problems there. With China Air, that first one we did with China Air, they had the pink blossom on the tail, so they had pinks and purples, and oh wow, look at you. Yeah.
This is probably my favorite tag, just because this was impossible. You couldn't order, I'm going to order no, it was just, you get what you get, and to get a tricolor out of that. Oof.
Yeah, that's right. We weren't into the variants as much, but I remember that we were trying to burn it, and we kept melting, it kept catching fire, and then what I finally realized is that they put a coating, a clear coat on top, to which I assume it was UV to protect the sun from fading the colors, right? So it wasn't actually paint; it was like a sheet. It was a piece of plastic, and I realized once I soak it in acetone, it would come off. right? It would just peel up and I could take it off. Then I was actually at the paint again, and then I could get a decent burn out of it, right? But until we figured out that we had to strip off that coating.
Yeah.
And that was early on before we knew. We learned a lot since that time. Obviously, you know, keep experimenting, you keep getting problems, and you know, you find solutions, and our burning recipes would change. Then we bought a different machine, you know, a different type of laser, which made a whole world of difference. Whereas there was some things I couldn't etch at all, and we had to send them out. We sent him out to another laser guy, and he did the job. And I was like, I felt so inadequate. Like, what's he doing that I can't, right? He's not telling me. But I eventually figured out and found out that it was a different type of laser, a different wavelength, one for organics and one for nons. And once we received that, I'm like, oh, that's the ticket, right? So once we got two machines, it gives us a better arsenal to create, you know, tags that are pretty, that are acceptable. It's still is a problem. There's one right now. The one problem with Dave is the 737 that we're doing. Those are always tough because they're bright, rich colors, nice and thick. And well, we figured out on this new machine, on the CO2 machines, that we can make a dark burn out of the color, and it looks really nice, right? Better than we've actually ever done before for 737. But Dave found out it took like 5 to 6 to 7 minutes per tag, right? So we're going like 38 minutes for 6 or 5, right? Yeah. And he found that out. He's like, "No, that's too slow. We can't do that. We need to. How else can we? Let's stamp some other ones and go faster. Oh my God, right?" So that's one of the issues we have to deal with is the time frame. You know, we only have 24 hours in a day, and we have 3 shifts. And you know, some of the tags, when we experiment, we get a really nice one and we give it to J1. You know, go ahead and use it for the website, for the design. But then we have to go back and go, yeah, we have to tweak it because this is taking too long. You know, we're losing money and time by doing that. So we have to try and figure out, you know, save a couple seconds here, do a couple seconds there, or, you know, wait till later, only do a few. So that's a whole nother issue that we have to deal with.
You're like a doctor now. You're a scientist.
Mad scientist. Have you had some tags, Chet, that you've had to engrave on 2 different machines? Like, I'm thinking like a bare metal versus color. I'm trying to remember which one it was. I think you had to take and engrave one half on one and the other half on another. Am I right in that?
Yeah, you are. You're half right, because it wasn't that many. It was a shorter run. It was one of the variants that was so we could afford.
Yeah,
no, it might have been. It was a combo, obviously, because it was light on one side and dark on the other, and we couldn't get anything. And it was, but it had to be a very short run because when you switch machines, the alignment is near impossible.
Oh yeah,
it's way off. There is several others that we burn 2 separate ones, right? We'll do a light burn for the dark part of the tag and a dark burn for the light part. And again, we have to do those one at a time because we have to cover up half of it, you know, and burn it, and then cover up the other half and burn it again. So there's some of those that we've done, but we try to keep those to the minimum, obviously, because it's way too time consuming. But I mean, Dave not knowing this, because we have a late shift and we have 6 machines now, right? We can afford to bogart one machine to go slow. You know, we get the other 2 or 3 or 4 machines going, and then in the in-between time, we can hand finesse one of them and get, you know, a certain number of them. But if we had to do a whole bunch of them like that, we'd have to charge a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's as I've kind of been playing around with lasers, I've learned how intense it is. And so you can spend hours and hours and hours setting everything up, and how much waste are you going through figuring it out, dialing it in. I'm sure that's been a huge part as these tags been more complicated to make. I mean, that's part of why that's why some variants are so expensive. They're just so hard to make.
Yeah, they're time consuming. I mean, right from the very start, right? The polishing, the stamping, the prepping for laser way before they even get here. You know, each one takes a special touch.
Yeah, I mean, you even go out to the boneyard with Santiago and Vlad, and they're cutting a carbon fiber 787, and think about how long it takes them to cut through that carbon fiber, and the hours they're spending with that, and all the things. I mean, it's a lot of man work to produce them.
Oh God, you have to be young to do that because they got to wear a mask. They wear the leathers, their gloves, and they're out there out in the bald ass sun out in Mojave. I mean, they're in the middle of the desert, right?
Yeah.
Cutting. So yeah. I mean, the human factor is an issue too.
Yeah.
Nice chatting with you guys, but if you have any more questions, send me an email and maybe I'll answer you.
We'll get you back on another podcast.
Okay, guys, I'll get
I'm going to rope you back into it.
Thanks for everything.
Thanks,
Chet.
How about that, everyone?
Yeah. Chet hit on the F4, Dave. That was his main talking point. We just released the F4 yesterday. Let's hear your side of the story. And how did you acquire this F4? I know you got it from a retired lieutenant colonel from the U.S. Air Force. Where did this thing come from?
Yeah, we found this F4 from actually someone who's in your club, Paul, an older gentleman named Jack out of Texas. He kept emailing me time and time again, saying that he had this aircraft. And
we started this conversation in 2023 with this guy.
Yeah, is that how long it's been?
Yeah.
Oh, he emailed me yesterday. He was so tickled about the blog that Diana wrote and all the information. And he was so super excited about it. I never had the opportunity to meet him. The problem is he was in the middle of nowhere, Texas. And sometimes it's hard to logistically get the team with all the teardowns we have to get out there. We paid him fairly for this piece. I mean, we went and basically cut it up and just walked away from it and left this skeleton of the F4 in his backyard. So it took us some time to get out there. We actually did the cuts back in 2025, early 2025, and eventually got it into the queue for this release that we just had, and it did very well. I mean, what an incredible aircraft. I even learned a lot about it with Rob, with what you wrote on it, and Diana. And that's the exciting thing about plane tags, right? There's just so much history out there. And the more and more you look into it, and the more of the stories you uncover, is fascinating, you know? And I think this is exactly what Jack delivered us with this F4, which was just amazing.
Yeah, and that F4 was amazing. Like I said, like the sixth production F4 ever built, the first one to ever land on an aircraft carrier, landed on the USS Independence, land and take off from an aircraft carrier. Like that is aviation history in your hands right there. That's so cool.
I wish we had pieces of the USS Independence now.
Yeah, go hand in hand. Yeah, sounds like a good display opportunity.
But that was fun. F4 was a fun one. We worked with Boeing. We got McDonald branding on it from back in the day, and they gave us the spook on the back of the tag. As it's known.
I love the spook.
The spook is, everybody loves the spook with the F4. That's a signature. So it's pretty cool to be able to have that stuff on our tags now and promote that and work with it.
I wish Yvonne was here to talk more about the licensing.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have her on this podcast in the near future. But a lot goes into getting all these licenses, and Yvonne spearheads that for us, and she's kind of like the silent one that doesn't really get to get out front and tell everyone about it. But what she's doing is every time that we find an aircraft, we're to the point where we want to have licenses, right? I mean, look, we could run around the country and tag every plane we see and just throw it out there. But unless we have the airline's permission, the manufacturer's permission, it makes it more of a qualified product. Working with Boeing and getting these branding rights for the F4 and some of the North American products we have coming up, I think it really adds to the product. And who's even more excited about it is Boeing themselves, and said we're going to work with MotoArt on this. So that was a great marriage, many years in the making. So we're happy that we had this opportunity.
I think you look back, I think all of us in the very beginning, the concept that we would even be approached by Boeing or even have a conversation with Boeing was it was a pipe dream.
Right.
Like, there's no way we're cutting up their airplanes. You know that. Yeah, it's just the idea that not only are we getting the branding, it is incredible to see how far this has come.
Okay, so let's talk about the new release that we have coming up. Special release on Tuesday. That's right. We were approached by the Palm Springs Air Museum, Fred Bell of the Palm Springs Air Museum, and they have been working for the last couple of years on restoring Walt Disney's Gulfstream One. They just finished it. They are super excited about it. I haven't had the chance to see it firsthand yet, but what they did was they took a NASA G1 and took the interior and some other sections, I believe, off this G1 to basically complete Walt Disney's G1. So Palm Springs Air Museum and the Walt Disney Archives, they collaborated with us to be able to tag this NASA G1 and kind of honor it that they used this to be able to restore Disney's actual aircraft. So we have a very small number of these tags coming out on Tuesday. And basically, Paul, just let you know, we're splitting it with them, right? So we're giving them half the tags. We're taking half the tags.
Yeah,
now,
fantastic.
what we're giving, the Palm Springs Air Museum is the low numbers. So if you want a low number tag, go to the Palm Springs Air Museum website come this Tuesday, and you'll be able to get yourself a low number tag.
Yeah,
now,
awesome.
of course, buy them from PlaneTags too, because we gotta get paid too. but please, support the museum and go over there to their website and get yourself a G1 Walt Disney tag.
You know what's cool with the Disney tag is I don't think a lot of people really realize this, but Walt himself was a huge aviation nerd, to the point. And if you go in his Gulfstream, in the seat that he typically sat in, they had put an altimeter and an airspeed gauge in front of his seat so he could keep an eye on it and look at it. His plane could carry 15 people, and when him and Lillian looked at it, they immediately knew they wanted it, and it became an icon for them. When he was in the process of making it the Walt Disney plane, it kind of didn't look anything like the Disney plane because he wanted to keep it hidden. But once it became popular, everybody knew what it was, and he would use it as like a flying meeting room, basically like an Air Force One to Disney. And then he retired it in 1992, and it went to Hollywood Studios and kind of sat in the back lot for years, and then kind of just faded away, unfortunately. So it's awesome to see the Palm Springs Air Museum being able to restore this plane and get it back to how Walt and Lillian had it back in the day and how they envisioned it. So I think it's a cool thing to go see at their museum, and it's cool to own a piece of it. I mean, as cool as it is to have Boeing back us, man, it's even cooler to have Disney behind our product too now.
Right.
Yeah. We actually got some mouse ears on the product for once.
Yeah. We've got Disney logo on there. It's got it's got Mickey Mouse and Minnie and the characters with the Archives logo. It's pretty amazing. So
man, we've come a long way. We've gone from Eminem characters to now Disney, Boeing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it does. You do these crossovers where you got like different cultures and different, fan clubs crossing, similar to when we did Hemisphere Dancer with Jimmy Buffett. Like, you have all those Jimmy Buffett fans crossing over with aviation, and then that was such a popular tag. This is going to be no different, and infinitely more. Disney guys are crazy, right? And so it's going to be really special product to have Disney and PlaneTag. That's amazing.
We need to see a Final Approach fabrication display for this.
Well, I just found out about it, so we'll get on it. Yeah, that's going to be sweet. Yeah. You too, Dave. Like, you started doing designs for Disney, right? Isn't this full circle for you as well?
Gosh, I didn't even think about that. It is full circle. In fact,
how much stuff in Disneyland is yours?
I was just looking at drawings this morning. One of my last projects I did for Disney was the Pop Century Resort in Disney World. Back in my sign days, God, this is, going on 30 years ago. We did a lot of stuff for like California Adventure. Fun story just to share real quick, right? So I'm in the sign industry. I'm a young go-getter, sales and marketing guy. And I knew that they were working on California Adventure, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I have to get the sign package. So I'm, schmoozing all the Imagineers who I knew was responsible for it, and, sending them, portfolio design package and anything I can do to get their attention. So finally I get on the bidders list, and I'm so super excited that I'm on Disney's bidder list, right? Feather in the cap. Well, all of a sudden the design package comes out and it's this thick, right? With all the fun graphics and this and that. And I went to bid on it, and took us like weeks, like at least 2 solid weeks to go through all the specs and bid on it. And when we bid on it, the results came back, and they end up sending that bid package to 50 sign companies.
Oh.
And we were like number 49th out of 50 on price, right? I mean, we weren't even close. And my company, who I was working for, was so pissed at me, and they're like, look, we're not bidding on this stuff anymore. They were offering people in like Oklahoma to bid on it, and anywhere that was a sign company, they were going to allow to bid on it. So I was all bummed out. And all these friends that I had in Imagineering that I developed, I went back to them. I said, guys, don't send me any more sign packages. We won't bid on it. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, no. I mean, you put it out to 50 sign companies. How could we ever compete? We're not that type of sign company. We were a high-end sign company. Mm-hmm. Well, after I did that, Paul, like literally like a week later, one of the head guys from Imagineering walks in the front door of the sign company, and I go out and greet him. His name was Scott, and I'm, hey, Scott, and he's like, hey, what are you doing here? He goes, here, sign this. And it was a big NDA, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I signed the NDA, and he's like, can we go in your conference room? I'm like, sure. So we go in the conference room, and then boom, he just throws on the table all the jewelry from Disney, and from all the front icons to the California Adventure icons. And it was basically a no bid contract for us to build it. And I mean, I literally almost brought tears in my eyes that we had this opportunity, that they trusted us in some of the most biggest, beautiful signs at Disney to work on. And that was one of my last big jobs at the sign company. I figure I could not go any higher in my career than what I did with Disney. And then the last job was that Pop Century Resort, and that just sunk the owner, because let me tell you, Disney Imagineering in Florida is completely different than Disney Imagineering in California. Because they got all these hurricane restrictions, the requirements, and a little bit tougher to work for. I mean, still an incredible organization, and we were stoked to work with them. But trying to do a big job from Los Angeles to Florida took its toll. And that was really like the last job that I did for the sign company. So
you said that was your last big job, and that was basically your ultimate thing there. So let's say, is the G1 your last big job for PlaneTags? What do we got going on?
Heck no. God, we haven't even talked about this
you got Disney now. So what tops Disney?
We have so much fun stuff coming up, guys, and that's the fun of it. What we are working on today, unfortunately, a lot of people want to know about for a year from now. That's how far ahead of the curve we have to be. Gosh, no. The biggest problem I have is I'm out of space on my number one board. I got to take my number one board down and find a way to put more pegs in it because it's completely filled up.
Yeah, well, to October 9th and 10th, we have a huge event coming up in LA where a lot of Tagnetics, as you will, be coming to LA and coming to us for our 6th annual Tag Fest now.
I think we still got about 20, 25 tickets available. So go to PlaneTags.com to get yourself a Tag Fest ticket.
It's going to be an incredible event. A lot of good collectors come out. I mean, you can meet the whole crew, Dave, Jay, Yvonne, Diana, everybody will be there.
Yep.
So
yeah,
it's going to be a great event.
Best weekend of the year for any Tagnetic.
Yeah, man. Food, shopping, buying off the magnificent wall back there behind Dave. It's going to be a great event. So
great. Guys, thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Diana.
Yeah, thank you guys. This is an honor.
You need to show off that one right in front of your nose.
Which one?
The space looking one.
Oh, the SRB?
Yeah.
It's barely holding on. It's still recording, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'm still waiting for longer screws, and I didn't have time to go grab long ones at the hardware store. This is the SRB.
New one?
Yeah, and then we've got another one coming out that's more like a traditional display. But this.
So you have another one coming for the hold down post?
Yeah, correct. Well, it could be either of them really. It's just a smaller display.
Okay.
But this one is, I mean, the detail is just awesome, man.
Yeah, the detail's incredible. What's on the back of it? Oh, see, that's cool. I love how you can see through the back of the display and you can see the mission that it participated in.
Yep, correct.
Cool. Yeah, and is the text right there the text from the insert of the card?
No, it's different. It's different.
It's its own.
Yeah, it's its own. And I honestly haven't looked at it too much yet. Oh, it's falling apart. But this is really fun, man. This one's super. This is special because it's tied to us with the MLP, and we were so tied with the MLP. For me, it goes hand in hand, and so I'm thrilled to be able to offer this one. And it's an incredible piece.